So there is a report right now that the PS6 will feature a handheld that will be dockable, and Sony is targeting a price point that will compete with the Nintendo Switch 2. So I saw this, and I had a lot of different thoughts on this because my line of thinking is like, well, number one, you're trying to, if this report is all true, right, and you are aiming to compete with the Nintendo Switch 2, and you have a dockable handheld. So I have a couple questions. Question one is, are you planning for the PS6 to be a hybrid console, or are you planning a handheld to be released alongside of it? And then if that's the case, then the next thing that I think of is, okay, so in a way, like especially if you're targeting the Nintendo Switch 2 price point, right? I feel like you're already setting your generation up for failure in a sense of performance, because like even though this, like we've talked about, the Switch 2 runs great right now, we know based on the tech that's inside of it, we're going to get the same problem we had with the Nintendo Switch in probably like at least maybe 3 years, maybe a little bit longer,
quite possibly,
with like third parties and stuff. And like with the level of quality that Sony puts into their own games, yes, they can be like a Nintendo and build it for the platform. I feel like what you're doing for the PS6 at that point is you are limiting the power, because you also need to develop alongside this dockable handheld. Almost kind of similar to the issue we have with the Xbox Series S, but not exactly, because the Series S is obviously a power stance quite lower than, like, let's say what this would be for PlayStation. Am I kind of reading that the right way? Because like when I hear this, that is where my line of thinking goes.
But Alex, have you really thought about it? As we've mentioned many times before, our current generation consoles have not been stressed.
True.
So who says the PS6 itself is just not a handheld and they're just going to continue as PS5 as their standalone console?
See, that's another line of thinking there. That is a good point, because I have been in the very firm stance on this show that there's no reason to move to the next generation in 2 years. I just don't see why it's necessary.
And the PS6 just ends up being a portable.
I mean, that's possible too.
I mean, the bigger thing here is if they targeting the PS6 to be a hybrid console like the Switch. The thing is, I could be wrong, but that's not what the PlayStation audience wants.
Right.
They want their powerful console that can run all the PlayStation exclusive like RPG games that like the PlayStation is known for, like their big storytelling games, their big narrative games, their big RPGs. They want those to run as good as possible. They don't care if they can pick it up and walk around with it.
Right.
They're targeting it. They're trying to target the audience that Nintendo is targeting with their with their Switch.
Right.
But that's not the appeal. Like, that works for Nintendo games because the appeal of Nintendo games is they're a more family-friendly, play-as-you-go kind of game. Most Sony games are, you better sit down and strap in because you're gonna be here for a bit when you play it. I don't need, like, we don't need a hybrid console for that.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it. If you're gonna go to the next generation, just make something powerful, and if you want a handheld, release a handheld alongside it. Like, make a console and then make you a new version of your Vita.
See, I was just about to ask that, is, man, like, do you guys think that the better solution is just basically take the approach of what handhelds used to be, where they are an entirely separate console with their own library of games, and just try the Vita again, where it can play console level games that are like maybe, lower in demand and power needs, right? Kind of like how the Vita can play some PS4 games, but then also has its own library of games. Like, is that the preferred way? Because is what you're saying of that, Sony doing this, that's not what PlayStation fans want. Do you think PlayStation fans would want another like PS Vita approach, where it has its own library of games and can play some older console game? Let's say, like, for example, God of War 2018, PS4 game, Last of Us, the first Spider-Man, some PS4 games. You even go back a little bit older, stuff like that, but maybe not play the brand new Spider-Man, the brand new God of War. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think a portion of the community would want that, but I think overall the community would, as John mentioned at the start, would want a technically more powerful console to play whatever's the new and
right.
upcoming game.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you're making a hybrid console, then what the fuck was the point of your portal?
Big facts. I think the portal was literally just for them to dip their toes in it, see how sales went, kind of thing.
What the problem was if that's what the idea of it was, because the portal, doesn't it just stream the games from your console?
Yeah. So
It's like
like
if
that,
you
yeah.
wanted to actually test that, the portal should have been able to take your library and play them natively.
facts.
That's what you should have been testing.
Facts. All right.
But it's like if I like the idea of a Sony handheld. I don't like the idea of a hybrid console. Because the thing is, like if you go to PlayStation 6, you make a hybrid console like the Switch, and you're targeting the Switch 2 price point, you're gonna end up with less power than your PS5 has, which is gonna hamstring development for games. Like for that, 'cause as we've seen, we've talked about it many times. We haven't stress tested the current consoles. So if we're going to the next console and it's potentially going to be lower power, what's the point?
See, that's my mindset in terms of going the dockable route. It's like if you go the dockable route, I feel like it's got to be a lower power.
It's this weird thing where like Xbox is moving more towards like the like making a little PC route,
Yeah, yeah,
and Sony's like, we're gonna go weird.
yeah. We're gonna go like a Nintendo way.
Like Sony, you've had a couple good generations here. You don't have to experiment.
Right.
Like
What you do works. That's
it's
why
like-
you just change
it's
a
like-
number in your console
yeah,
name.
you've won. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, if anything, it's like if you want to do something else, make a Portal 2 that can play your library natively and not just stream to it. That's all you got to do.
Facts.
Because like I think we said before, if the Portal was a reasonable price and didn't just stream the games, I would have been interested in one.
Right.
But yeah, I don't see the point. I'm not a huge fan of like the dockable stuff.
Right. So Tyler just got a Portal recently because he knew someone that like got it, literally did not use it.
Okay.
And it's just like, hey, I'll sell this to you for like less than retail, because retail's 200. And Tyler's like, whatever. So Tyler hit me up about it after he got the chance to test it. He also brought it for me to hold. It is as weird to hold as you think it would be. So shout out to that. He said, man, I got a Portal for no reason. I don't have PlayStation Plus, so I can legit only play it at the house with the PS5 turned on. If I had PlayStation Plus, I could play those games on there. He said the PS5 is going to be in rest mode. He said mine is always, so it's not a big deal. But he needs to set the feature not to turn on the TV, because when I start my PS5, it turns the TV on, which then kind of goes back to the TV PlayStation. And he did say, I mean, it looks legit and it kind of feels legit, plays well, but like it's just difficult for him because he still buys physical copies of games instead of primarily digitally.
Yeah. So the big thing is you need to have a PS Plus account to really utilize one of its big features. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're just stuck to whatever your digital library is.
Correct. And also something that you just said about not a fan of this hybrid console. I was sitting here thinking about this throughout this conversation. Love the Switch. Switch is cool. All right. Love the Switch one of the greatest catalog of games in gaming history. I'll die on that hill. I think the Switch 2 is great. I think the catalog for it by the time it's done is going to be absolutely insane. But like there is that part of me that's like, I kind of miss the old days of handhelds, where it was like its own console with its own library. You know what I mean? Like the handheld thing is cool, be able to take certain games on the go and stuff, but I kind of miss how it used to be.
I mean, the problem
like the
is-
PSP, the DS, the 3DS.
Unless I'm like going on a vacation or something and I take my Switch out of its dock, I don't undock my Switch.
Same.
It's like it stays in its dock. I would much prefer. Granted, I know a lot of people only play their Switch in handheld.
Yeah.
I would say probably more people play it in handheld than actually keep it docked all the time.
Yeah.
But I would much prefer a regular ass console that just gets plugged into the wall and plugged into the TV, and then Nintendo sell me another handheld for all my handheld games. I would much prefer that. I loved my DS.
Yeah,
I played
facts.
my DS all the time when I still had it, or like when it was more common to do that. I would much prefer that, because the other thing is like if you're out and about pull your Switch out. It's like, especially with the size of the Switch 2 now, it's I mean, it's not super convenient to carry around.
Yeah.
My DS, I can put my DS in my pocket.
Right. And you know, I know there's like multiple points to this because some people can immediately counter back. Just like, well, I mean, wouldn't you want to play, you know, the newest Legend of Zelda on the go? I'm like, maybe in certain situations, you know, but like, I don't know. I like the DS. The DS was cool, you know. I
think the biggest thing why we don't see that anymore is just as we have seen the trend of game development and just how many games get stuck with long development times now, how many end up getting canceled. And I mean, the handheld time of DS, 3DS, that was Nintendo's focus because they didn't have any console or anything to focus on. And plus, just overall in the game development, on bigger publishers and developers were able to pump out games a lot quicker versus nowadays.
Well, it's also more convenient for them because since they have their hybrid console, they can sell everything on one console instead of like before where it's like, okay, well, I've got my Switch library and then I've got my DS library, or like I've got my Wii library and then my DS library.
Yeah.
Or I got my DS library and my 3DS library.
Yeah, the Wii U library, 3DS library, Game Boy Advance library, GameCube library.
I get it's more convenient.
I always forget about the Wii U, my bad. So they did have a console.
Yeah. Disrespectful.
But yeah, it's one where I understand it. I'm more of a fan of my console being a console.
I agree.
And if I want something on the go, then I have my handheld for it. Granted, we've been out of the handheld world for a while now.
Right.
It's turned into the mobile world.
And it's one where it's like maybe Sony looks at it and they're like, okay, well, if we make a hybrid console, then we don't have to spend the development time to come up with a handheld. And it's like, well, kind of wish you would. Like, you're gonna sell. It's like you make a PS6, you're gonna sell your PS6s anyway. Like, I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to. They want to make a new console, but they also are like, okay, well, if we make something more powerful than the PS5, or like the PS5 Pro now, I mean, we don't want to show up to the market with $1,000 console.
Right.
No.
I think that might also be one reason why you may not necessarily see a huge power and graphical leap into the next generation, is because, again, these consoles have not been stress tested. Let's not raise the price even more. You know what I mean?
Unless you turn your console into a kind of what Xbox is planning on doing, a PC.
Yeah.
And like just give them a PC in a box, essentially. You're not really gonna.
Yeah. Now, the report about the PlayStation 6 having the dockable, it feels like it's the wrong plan, you know, but then again, it could also just be a false report. You know, the person that reported it, you know, I mean, it was making its rounds amongst the sources I follow. So
heck, you say the PS6 is going to be a dockable. Did they really have any more information besides it dockable?
Quite possibly, then I just didn't see it.
Okay, because if all they told us PS6 is going to have a dockable, as far as we're aware of with just that information, it could be just dockable to charge.
Yeah, just straight trolling, you know?
Which wouldn't make sense for a console, but hey, throw it on this dockable mat and it'll charge for some reason.
Yeah.
Your controllers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something stupid like that. Yeah. Good point. You know, I didn't fully dive into all the details besides like just the main headline stuff.
Yeah.
So there probably was more details, but you know, it's like the details that we had on the PS6, we talked about it, I think like 2 weeks ago, where it's like the rumored leaked power of the next consoles, because it's like, oh, we need that. You know, so we already have an idea of what's coming, but either way, I just feel like doing a dockable route for the PlayStation 6 is, I think it's just the wrong play. It's like what John said. You won. Just keep winning. You know, your formula works. All you do is change one number in your console title. People buy it. It's powerful. It's got good first-party games. Just keep doing what you're doing. You know, why be fancy?
Yeah, because I mean, to be completely honest, if it is, assuming it would be like a hybrid thing, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't want to play, say, the next God of War. I don't want to play that on a handheld system.
Right.
I want to play that on my TV. But it's like, if I had the option to play it handheld, I would have to try it to see how.
Yeah, we'd be curious. You know?
I'd have to see how it looked.
Curiosity,
like,
you know.
I wouldn't
Enjoy it.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's like it's the same thing. It's like I said, there's a reason my Switch stays at its dock. It's more. I find it more comfortable to sit back and play my games. Also, none of these goddamn handheld big ass screen like consoles or anything. None of them fit in my hands well. Switch 2 doesn't fit my hands well. The Switch didn't fit my hands well. My Steam Deck doesn't fit my hands well.
Yeah. They all feel very awkward, don't they?
Well, they're all awkward, but also I have small hands.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like they keep making them bigger and bigger. And I'm like, I can barely hold on to this bitch.
Yeah, so I can hold on to all mine fine, but it still like feels awkward to me. So like for my Switch, I had those Nori gamepad attachments where I take my Joy-Cons off and slide those on where it's like holding a controller. And I did the same thing with my 3DS. If you remember for my 3DS, my Zelda one, I had like an attachable grip to hold the 3DS because the 3DS just feels awkward for me to hold. And that's how I feel playing the Switch 2 in handheld whenever I'm just kind of laying down and chilling. It's like, I'm looking forward to when I can get like some new Joy-Con attachments that are like a controller. It'd be so much more comfortable.
You had that small ass.
I
DS.
did have the small 3DS.
I bought the fucking big boy.
Yeah, you got the XL. Yes, I got the Legend of Zelda, the small little 3DS, which was a gift, by the way. But I mean, it still runs great, but I still have that same grip to this day, just because it's the only way it feels comfortable for me to hold. So I don't know. I do understand where you're coming from, but from a different perspective.